Hey guys, Adam here with AmericanTrucks.com, and today we're taking a quick look at and of course installing the RedRock 4x4 cold air intake available for the 04 to 08 F150 with the 5.4 Triton. You should be checking this out for your own 5.4 if you're looking to ditch the factory very restrictive air box to replace it with a cold air intake that's not only going to filter out more of the particles that you don't want making its way into your engine, but it's also going to bring intake temperatures down, allowing you to get a little bit of a bump in horsepower and torque along with throttle response and acceleration. Now this particular one is a great option for the guys looking for one of the more affordable options in the category. There are a ton of cold air intakes for your 5.4. Some of them are a little bit more premium with a lot of bells and whistles. This guy here is keeping the budget down while still giving you a really high quality filter. Now the filter you'll see inside of this airbox here is a black conical cotton gauze filter that's oiled. Now it's washable and reusable, so the guys who want to spend a little bit less time worrying about their filter condition can relax a little bit more when it comes time to routine maintenance. Now when it does come time to clean it, you can pop it off, wash it, re-oil it easily with oil that you find at your local auto parts store, throw it right back in, and it's as good as new. Now, oiled versus dry is something that you'll see a lot online. It's a debate that's gone back and forth for years and years, and ultimately it comes down to what you're looking for. An oiled filter is typically a best of both worlds type of option. You get really good airflow, it's gonna pull in a lot of cold air, and the oil helps filter out a lot more particles down to a really small micro sized. Now that means that guys located in a dry weather climate area seeing a lot of air pollution might have to clean it off a little bit more often than guys not in those kind of areas, in which case a dry filter might be a little bit less maintenance for you, but they don't typically last as long as oiled. So the debate goes back and forth. It's really a personal question. Which one are you looking for? This one is oiled, really easy to use, really easy to clean. The rest of the tubing is completely aluminum tubing and the heat shield itself. Heat shield's black. This lid here does come off pretty easy, so when it comes time for routine maintenance, there's 4 bolts, one on each corner. Pop the lid off and you can easily take the filter out. The tubing is a little bit larger of a diameter than your factory tubing. The factory tubing is crazy. It's a huge shape. It has a lot of different reservoirs on it. This one's pretty straightforward, just a simple tube. The little bit larger diameter is going to help with volume of airflow going straight to the throttle body. Not a whole lot of nooks and crannies for it to go through like the factory one, so it's less restrictive. It does not require a tune, which is a huge bonus for guys looking for an intake they can just bolt up right out of the box. Because it doesn't require a tune, we're not strapping it down to the dyno today, but do know that it will bump some horsepower and torque numbers up. Pricing is going to come in right around $100, making it again a really affordable option in the category. Install 1 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter. Anybody can tackle this with about an hour, maybe 2 from start to finish, depending on your experience. Very simple hand tools will get the job done. There's a lot of little nuts and bolts included in the kit, so it's a little bit of a lengthier assembly than some of the more premium options, but still very simple to do. I'm going to show you every step of the process. Let's get started. Tools used in this install include an impact gun, 8 and 10 millimeter wrenches, Phillips head screwdriver, extension, couple of ratchets, 8, 10, and 13 millimeter deep sockets, T20 Torx bit, and wire cutters. All right, first step here, we're going to go back to our 5.4 right on top of the airbox here. You'll see we have a breather hose on the left and our MAF sensor on the right. So for the breather hose, you're just going to pull down on this green locking tab and pull that hose off. For the MAF sensor, lift up on the red locking tab, pinch and disconnect. All right, next up, we're going to switch over to our impact gun, an extension, and a deep 10 millimeter socket. We're going to remove the bolts holding on the airbox here. Now there are 2 on each side of the airbox, and there's 1 on the tubing down here. So let's focus on these guys first. All right, same thing on the other side. Now we have a regular bolt here. At one point or another, ours was replaced. So you should probably have those tall studs here as well, but just get both of those guys off. Switching over to a ratchet just because the firewall being there prevents an impact gun to get on there. Next up, we're going to remove our tubing here. Now, basically just going to lift up and disconnect it from your airbox, just like that, and pull it out of the firewall. All right, now you can set it aside. All right, next you should just be able to lift up on this guy and set that aside as well. All right, so we got our factory intake off of our 07 F150 behind me, and it's on the table next to our new RedRock 4x4 cold air intake. I want to take you through some similarities and differences between the two kits, and the first thing I want to talk about here is our filter. As you can see, I took apart the top end of our cold air intake from the factory to expose that drop-in paper element dry filter. Now this guy is pretty good at filtering out all the particles you don't want getting into your engine, but at the end of the day, it's not optimized for bringing in the most cold air to drop your intake temperatures. Now when you switch over to an aftermarket intake like this one here, the RedRock is going to include a cotton gauze element filter here. Now this conical filter is going to do a whole lot better job pulling in more cold air. Dropping your intake temperatures is going to go a long way to pulling out all of the power potential you have packed into your 5.4 Triton. Now this guy is an oiled filter, which means it's washable and reusable. So every time it comes time for routine maintenance, pop this guy out, wash it, re-oil it, and throw it right back in. Typically, these guys can last between 50 to 100,000 miles depending on how you're driving. Now, if you're located in some dry weather climate areas seeing a lot of air pollution, you might have to re-oil it and wash it out a little bit more often than not, but still a great way to filter out all the particles you don't want getting in. Now, the rest of the system here, as you can see, is a complete change up from your factory one. This thing here from the factory looks like an elephant trunk. It's huge. It's got a ton of resonators on it. It's not going to be great for optimizing airflow. You're going to get a little bit more volume with your new RedRock 4x4 aluminum tubing, slightly larger diameter, and not as many kinks slowing up your airflow. Now, even though this is a little bit larger of a diameter, this is not going to require a retune. Right out of the box, it's ready to bolt up. Now, the rest of the kit here includes an aluminum airbox. A little bit different than your factory one. The factory one was a completely enclosed airbox. This is going to be a little bit more open, but it does include weather stripping here to seal up under the hood, pushing out all of the engine bay heat and keeping in the cold air. We're going to have to transfer over our factory MAF sensor to the new kit and assemble that airbox before we get under the hood, so let's get started. All right, now the only thing we really have to take off of our factory intake here is our MAF sensor, the mass airflow sensor. Grab a T20 Torx bit and remove the 2 factory screws here. Now the screws you won't be needing, but it's recommended that you keep them just in case you ever want to go back to stock, because the new screws are a little bit different. Carefully just slide this guy straight back, trying not to make any contact with the sensor portion itself. Set that down and set your factory box aside. All right, so out of the box, the new port is welded onto your tubing, and you'll see that there are 2 Phillips head screws already installed into those slots, so just pull those guys off. For the MAF sensor, you're just gonna slide this guy in. The holes should line up only one way, so if they're not lining up, just flip it around. So as you can see, these don't. I'm just gonna rotate it, slide it back in, and now they match up. Grab the Phillips head screws and put them through. Grab a Phillips head screwdriver and tighten them down. All right, for the next step, we're going to start assembling our airbox. Now the box itself comes in 4 different pieces, so you have to play a little bit of a puzzle set here. Now the open circle is where the tubing and the filter will go through. I'm going to put up one of our walls next, and they connect just like this. You'll see that this lip is going to go on the back here. From there, you're going to take the little hex screws included in the kit and the flat washers. I'm going to put the bolt heads through the back, follow it up with another flat washer on this side, and then finally the nylon lock nut. Now there's a bunch of little hardware that you're going to have to use for this guy, so I'm just going to insert all of the bolts and nuts first on this particular panel, and then we're going to go back and tighten them down. All right, so now I'm just going to put the bottom ones through. All right, now it's up to you if you want to put the rest of the panels on first. I'm going to tighten these guys down and then we'll move on. All right, for this, I'm going to turn this guy up on its side just to make it easier to access the bolt head and the nut. I'm going to use an 8mm wrench on the bottom here on the inside and a little Allen key for the bolt head. All right, do the same thing for all 4. All right, back to the position we had it in initially. We're gonna just basically do the same thing for the other wall. Now this one just has a little tab. You wanna make sure that's facing down on the table. Link those two up together, grab your bolts and do the same thing. All right, now you can tighten them down. All right, next up we're going to install our rubber liner. Now the rubber liner is going to be strategically placed somewhere along this tubing here, where the tubing and the filter will come through, and the sides where it'll contact inside the engine bay. That's going to help us seal in the cold air and block out the engine bay heat. So you want to grab this, and it is all one piece, so we're going to have to cut it to size. I'm going to basically start here and just feed it through, and then when we get to the end, I'll cut it off with some wire cutters. So once we get to the end, just grab your cutters or your scissors or even just a pocket knife will do the trick, and just cut that guy off. All right, now you can do the same thing to the two outer edges. All right, now directly under this U shape here on our heat shield, there's an open hole. Grab the rubber vibration mount and you're gonna put one of the studs through. This is gonna help reduce any of the NVH or noise, vibration, and harshness with this guy installed. Put one of the flat washers over it along with a 13mm nut. Grab a ratchet and a socket and tighten that down. All right, the next step may look a little confusing on paper, but it's actually pretty simple. This little bolt plate here, this washer, this thick metal washer, is basically gonna sandwich this metal piece on your fender. So you're gonna basically take it apart. This top portion I'm gonna set aside for a second. One of these hex bolts included in the kit, I'm gonna put up through the bottom, just like that. And that's gonna go underneath here. On top of this, I'm gonna take that top hat, slide that guy on, and it fits perfectly right into that hole. Grab one of the hex nuts included in the kit, not one of the nylon lock nuts, just a hex nut. And just thread that guy all the way down. Right. So that stud is now gonna come through the new air box that we're gonna install right here, and a nut will go on top of that stud. So that's how it's gonna attach to the frame here. Now we're gonna do the same thing to this hole, and then tighten these two nuts down, and then move on. All right, so now I'm gonna take a 10mm wrench and I'm gonna hold the bolt head on the bottom and a 10 socket and tighten down that top nut. All right, next up, we're gonna drop our air box in place, and these two holes here are gonna line up to those two studs. Now we can grab some of the nuts included in the kit and tighten them down to those studs. All right, next, I'm gonna drop one of these larger flat washers on each of the studs. Follow it up with a nut included in the kit, and we'll tighten those down with our 10 socket. All right, so now that's secure. All right, next up, we're going to install our elbow or the coupler here on top of our throttle body. Grab the smaller clamp included in the kit and put it over this smaller end. This hose fitting you want facing the passenger side. All right, so now you can pop this guy on the throttle body. Once you have that seated all the way, What you want to do is make sure that the clamp is rotated so it's in the front. We're going to do that again. And now you can tighten down this clamp with an 8mm socket. All right, so you just want to make sure that coupler is straight forward. You can use an 8mm socket or a flathead screwdriver and tighten down the clamp. Next up, we're going to install our clamp over that coupler there, just like that. Grab the tubing, and you're going to insert the long straight section right into that throttle body elbow that we installed. The other section is going to drop into our airbox. Now, the other side, you may need to move this reservoir out of the way, the steering fluid. Drop that guy on. The little fork welded onto the bottom of the tubing will drop onto the vibration bracket. All right, so now that you can see the fork is sitting on that vibration bracket, slide on one of the flat washers and then follow it up with a nylon lock nut. Now you can tighten that down. All right, grab your 13 socket and tighten that guy down. All right, so put your clamp in place on the throttle body elbow coupler and tighten it down with your 8 socket or flathead. All right, next up we're going to put on our mass airflow sensor sleeve. This plastic piece is going to insert into the tubing here where the filter will be. This slit is going to go right around the MAF sensor. So you want to line that up and slide that guy right in place. All right, next up we're going to install our filter. Put one of the clamps over the filter there. Find that metal sleeve in the filter material. That's going to be facing down. Drop it into your airbox and slide it over the tubing where you just put your MAF sleeve. All right, once you have that in place, tighten down your clamp. All right, next up's a little bit difficult. Your mass airflow sensor has been relocated between the airbox and your power steering reservoir. So it's really tight in here, but we have to plug that guy in. So I'm just gonna feed this harness in between. You're gonna have to pull a little bit on the bracket to get this harness to line up to click it in place on the sensor. All right, once you have that clicked on, drop down your locking tab. Next up, grab your breather line and connect it to the new fitting. Last step of the process, grab the lid for the airbox. Let's close that guy up. It's a little bit tapered, so the shorter end here is going to be on your driver's side. Grab the bolts included in the kit, and there's a threaded on nut welded to the sides, so we're just going to, tighten it down. All right, grab your 10mm socket and tighten these guys down. All right, with that last one tightened down, you're good to go. That's going to wrap up my review and install for the RedRock 4x4 cold air intake, available for the 04 to 08 F150 with the 5.4 Triton. You can get yours right here at AmericanTrucks.com.